In this video, I will show you the most evil poison ever created, but first, a little backstory. In 17th century Europe, poisons were not just tools of assassination, they were symbols of power, rebellion, and sometimes even survival. Nowhere was this more evident than in Italy and in France, where poisoning reached a shocking height. In 1659, Italian clergy brought a troubling report to the Pope. Young wives were confessing in droves, admitting to poisoning their husbands. Rumors swirled of Rome's rising population of young widows, many living comfortably off the fortunes of their deceased spouses. Back then, poison bottles were not hidden, but openly displayed on the dressing tables of noblewomen. These small vials became symbols of their power and a dangerous answer to the problems of infidelity or a large family inheritance. One of the most infamous poison vendors of this time was Tofiana, an elderly Italian woman who supposedly aided in the deaths of over 600 people. While her poisons weren't cheap, Tofiana would gift her concoctions to struggling wives who couldn't afford her services. Poisoning was practically a cottage industry with Tofiana as its queen. But in 1651, Tofiana died, and as a result, the poison mania started to decline in Italy. Despite this, a similar rise in poisonings was just beginning in France. The uptick in poisonings was so extreme that a famous French letter writer noted with horror that the word Frenchman might become synonymous with poisoner, and no poisoner was more notorious than Madame de Brinvilliers, a stunning noblewoman with a deadly agenda. She and her lover, Sainte Croix, who possessed dangerous alchemical skills, plotted to secure her family's vast estate. Their plan was the murder of her father and two brothers. Before she moved on to her family though, Madame de Brinvilliers honed her skills. She practiced on family pets and then on sick peasants, providing poison food that brought on disturbing symptoms without being fatal. Her favorite toxin was likely arsenic, a slow-acting poison that mimicked illness. But this poison was a pleasant way to die when compared to the poison I will be showing you later in this video. Confident in her skills, Madame de Brinvilliers began poisoning her father. Each day she administered small doses, mimicking a slow-acting illness. Her care and medicines only worsened his conditions, and within a week he was dead. Her two brothers soon followed, mysteriously dying. With the family estate in her hand, Madame de Brinvilliers turned her sights on her husband. She wanted to marry her lover, Sainte Croix, but divorce was complicated, so she chose the simpler route, murder. But Sainte Croix wasn't ready to marry her and secretly gave her husband antidotes to the poisons, infuriating Madame de Brinvilliers and ruining her husband's health in the process. But fate intervened. Sainte Croix died in his laboratory, accidentally exposed to his own deadly mixture. In his possession, authorities discovered incriminating letters linking both him and Madame de Brinvilliers to her family's death. Madame de Brinvilliers fled to England, but eventually was captured upon her return to France. There she was tried, beheaded, and her body burned, but her dramatic life and unapologetic behavior made her a legend. Her ashes were treated with almost saintly reverence, rumored to have healing powers. It is a strange twist in history how a notorious poisoner became a figure of fascination and reverence. Perhaps that's the power of legend, or maybe it's the allure of the forbidden. Now we have some context for why someone might want to use poisons to kill. They are appealing because poisons can obscure the cause of death and are less gruesome when compared to other methods of murder. But what might warrant choosing a poison that causes excessive suffering? I would argue that there is no reasonable justification for using the poison that I am about to show you. Unlike typical poisons which chemically react with the body, this horrific substance acts as a physical weapon from the inside. Imagine something microscopic but razor sharp moving through your body. Once ingested, it doesn't dissolve, soften, or break down. Instead, it stays sharp and unforgiving, working its way through your delicate tissues. Everywhere this poison touches, it leaves microscopic tears and cuts. In your digestive tract, it slices through the lining, causing invisible wounds. If it reaches the bloodstream, it can lodge itself into critical organs, like the liver, the kidneys, or even the heart. This continues to cause trauma as it moves through the body. The symptoms start subtly, usually abdominal pain, nausea, and fatigue, but as it works its way deeper, the damage intensifies. Victims experience searing pain as the poison creates countless cuts and abrasions internally. Soon there's internal bleeding, infection, and in severe cases, organ failure. What makes this poison particularly cruel is how undetectable it is. To the outside world, it looks like a natural illness or injury, but inside, the substance is causing devastating harm. Often by the time doctors realize something is wrong, it's already too late. Imagine trying to treat someone who's been injured from the inside by thousands of tiny cuts. Standard scans like x-rays or ultrasounds don't pick it up, and even if it's suspected, there is no practical way to remove it from the body without causing more damage. This poison doesn't dissolve over time or get processed by the body. Instead, it continues to cause pain and damage for days, sometimes weeks. And if you think this sounds like something out of a horror movie, you're right. So what is this mysterious and deadly substance? It's diamond dust. Yes, actual diamond powder. Finely ground diamonds are one of the most dangerous poisons imaginable because of their extreme hardness and sharpness. This fine powder, made from the hardest natural material on Earth, turns into a microscopic weapon once inside the body. It doesn't dissolve and it doesn't soften. It just keeps cutting, which is why it's been used in poison plots for centuries. In fact, diamond dust was once a favorite weapon of the Renaissance elite. Historical records show that it was used in royal courts for secret assassinations and revenge. Its silent, undetectable nature making it the ideal weapon for those who could afford it. Back then, people knew that finely ground diamond dust was more than just valuable. It was a lethal tool used to end lives without leaving a trace. Thankfully, diamond dust poisoning is rare today, but its frightening legacy remains. Because it's nearly impossible to detect in the body, there's no easy way to know if it's there until the damage is done. Diamond dust may seem like a relic from a dark past, but its lethal nature hasn't changed. It's a chilling example of how beauty and danger go hand in hand. In my next video, I will be synthesizing a chemical that explodes and is legal to create in the United States. That's right, it's legal to make certain types of explosive chemicals in the United States, and I will be demonstrating how to do this in my next video, but I do not recommend that you try to copy me. Stay tuned for that, and I will see you soon.